Hi, this is Mr. Ng going over the quiz corrections for Math 4 quiz number 14 on Chapter 12, which was factoring and solving, and then 12.1 was solving quadratics in the standard form. This was on March 30th, 2016. Question number 1 says factor completely. If you notice that this problem doesn't have a power of 2, so you should not be using the X box method. You should just be looking for the greatest common factor. And you should always be looking for the greatest common factor at the very beginning of every problem that you either have to factor or solve. Here I wrote out the factors of 40x, 10 times 4 times x. Anytime you have a subtraction sign, just make it -1 times 10. What they have in common is a 10. The most common mistake was A. If you did distribute, you do get 40x minus 10. 5 is a factor, but not the greatest common factor. So you're thinking probably 5 times 8 is 40 and 5 times 2, but there's a greater one that is 10. Same thing with 2. 2 is a factor, but not the greatest common factor. Question number 2, factor completely. So now I have something to the power of 2, so then I'm going to identify my a, b, and c. My a value is in front of the x squared. My b value is in front of the x, and my c value is whatever is over here. That's a -15. We did something called the x box method. You take your a and your c value, which is you multiply them, put it on the top, -15, and your b value is at the bottom, that's 2. Now you need to think of two numbers in which you multiply to be -15, but two numbers you add to be +2. So a good visual strategy for you can see it is taking the number 15 and writing all the factors. I have 1 and 15, 3 and 5, or 5 and 3. That way it can give you a visual. If I take these two numbers and subtract them, I'll get 2. So that means a 3 has to be negative. -3 times 5 is -15, and -3 plus 5 is a +2. So that would be choice A. Question number 3, if you notice that each of these values in front there have a divisible by 2, so if you write out all the factors, remember we have a subtraction sign, write -1, so 2x squared is 2 times x times x, -2x is -1 times 2 times x, and -12 is -1 times 2 times 6, so they have a 2 in common. Here, when I underlined here, this is where you take your a, b, and c. A is 1, b is -1, c is -6. A times c is -6, your b value is -1. Two numbers that multiply to be -6 are +2 and -3, but those two numbers add to be -1. The common mistake, if I did a free response question, is forgetting that greatest common factor. Okay, so although you do have x plus 2, and here x minus 3, as you see there, don't forget the 2. Now, if you did forget the GCF, math is very forgiving, you can actually do a is 2, b is -2, and then c is -12, and you can still actually do your x box method. It's just at the very end you'll have to factor out a 2. You probably would have gone 2x plus 4. Question number 4 now has an a value that's greater than 1, so you do your a, b, and c. There is no GCF of 15, 16, and 4. If you take your a times c value, that's 60, and your b value is 16. Two numbers that multiply to be 60 are 6 and 10, and also these two numbers add to be 16. So I take the 6 here, you must put it in the lower left corner and put a y next to it. Take the 10 there and put a y next to that one. The first term, 15y squared, goes here, and 4, the last term, goes in the bottom right. It must go in this method of factoring. And then if it helps you, like I did here, you can write out all the factors. So 3 times 5 times y gives us 15y squared. 10y is 2 times 5 times y. 4 is 2 times 2, and 6y is 2 times 3 times y. So what you're doing now is that in each row here, you're going to find out what they have in common. They have a y in common and a 5 in common. So I have 5y here. What I did not circle is a 3 and a y. Put that up there. What I did not circle over here is a 2. And then you can go ahead and multiply is a good way of checking. 5y times 3 is 15y squared. 5y times 2 is 10y. 3y times 2 is 6y. So the factors of 6y are 2 times 3 times y. You'll notice you go in this direction. What they have in common is a 3y. Then 2 times 2 is 4, or in this row they have a factor of 2, and in this column they have a factor of 2, and your answer is B. So here is a key idea. When you have an A value that's greater than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, or 15, you must do the X in the box. If you have an A value that's just 1, in problem number 2, and after you factor out the GCF here in question number 3, all you have to do is just the X. If you don't understand that, you can just keep doing the X in the box method. Question number 5, multiple choice, factor completely. You have x squared minus 4. This problem is a little tricky in that you don't have a b value. Your b value is actually 0. So when you factor this, a equals 1, b equals 0, c equals negative 4. And then from here, a times c is negative 4, b value is 0. Two numbers that multiply to be negative 4, positive 2 and negative 2, and they also add to be 0. So you put the x minus 2 and then x plus 2. Now in a problem like this is also called a special factor. It's called the difference of squares. And you'll notice that in difference of squares, the b value there's no b value. Question number 6. In here, when you're factoring it, if you've noticed that this is not in descending order. Descending order means putting the x squared first, then x to the first power, and over here there's an x to the 0, which you don't have to write. So once you put it in order, then you'll realize your a value is 1, b value is 4, c value is 3. A times c goes here. B value goes in the bottom of the x. Two numbers that multiply to be 3 are 1 and 3. Two numbers that add to be 4 are positive 1 and positive 3, and that would be your answer, A. Let's go ahead and try number 7. Factor completely. So here I'm still factoring. It's already in descending order. A value is 1, b value is negative 10, c value is 16. A times c is 16, your b value is negative 10. Two numbers that multiply to be 16 are negative 2 and negative 8. And these also add to be negative 10. Remember, you can take the factors of a times c and list out all the factors, and this visually might help you figure out what numbers you need to pick here. You just have to play around with the addition and subtraction. Okay, to go into the box method, then you're just taking this into the bottom left. These two values, they just have to go in the diagonals here. This is your first term, and your last term is 16 there. And when you factor this, you'll get x minus 2, x minus 8. Now, because this was a first free response question, students who either have this x right here and you have these two and you don't have that there, I gave you 3 points. There are some students who solved, which means they put the zero product rule, set it equal to 0, x minus 2 equals 0. When you solve that, you'll get x is positive 2 and positive 8. If you did that, then you're not factoring, you're solving, and I gave you 3 points for that. Question number 8. It says factor completely, don't have a b value. A times c is 4, b value is 0. There are no two numbers that multiply to be 4 and add to be 0. Remember, when you're adding to be 0, they have to be opposite numbers like they were in question number 5. So there are no numbers, so we can say the word not factorable, or the best one is called prime factors. Remember, it means only multiply by itself and 1. All right, that side was out of 20. Let's go ahead and go to the back side. Let's go a little faster running out of time. Factor completely. If you realize you have a GCF of an x, and if you got the GCF, I give you 2 points, and you also need to keep factoring. You'll get 3x minus 2 and x minus 1. If I'm going too fast, just pause the video and copy. Notice how in this problem it just says factors, it doesn't say solve. Question number 9 does say solve, and to solve you have to set it equal to 0, so I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Descending order, find my A, B, and C values. You can use your Xbox method or any method that you use. And then you have something called the zero product rule. One of these has to equal 0, so you set each of those equal to 0. And when you solve, you'll get x equals -3 and -4. If you substitute in those values for x, you'll recognize that either -3 or -4 will make it equal to 0 on this side. Question number 10. There's no GCF, you're still factoring, and then you need to solve. So A, B, and C, put it into your X box, and then zero product rule, and you'll get -1/2, and here +4. If you just factored, I'll probably give you 3 points. I gave you 2 points if you're going in, I don't know if I can give you 2 points. Maybe you had these two numbers there. All right, let's do the graphing. This is for version B, so there were 2 versions of the quiz. Is this quadratic? Yes, it is. So yes for 1 point, and it has a power of 2 for the second point. 11b is in standard form. I give you 1 point for the yes. And if you talked about how it has an A, B, and C or in descending order, that's where I gave you the second point. These both didn't have any points for trying and a wrong answer. 11c, you need to identify the following. So you had to have all of these correct in order to get the 1 point. Remember, that's a -1. Question 11d, find the axis of symmetry. So if you have the formula down and you have the rest of it wrong, give you 1 out of 2. X equals -b over 2a. Put in your b value is -4. A value is -1. 2 times -1 is -2. -4 divided by -2 is a +2, and the opposite of a +2 is a -2. A lot of students are missing the minus signs. Then you're going to take your axis of symmetry, x equals -2, and you put it in for the vertex. You're going to put it in here for every x value. Remember, you have PEMDAS, so if you did a substitution, I give you 1 point, and if you're correct with the substitution, so that's, this was a common mistake right here. -2 squared is a +4, so the opposite of +4 is a negative sign. -4 plus 8 is 4. 4 plus 45 gives you 49. Order pair is -2, 49. Opens down because your A value is -1, and it's a maximum because when you graph it, it opens down. Your C value is your y-intercept in standard form only. Your axis of symmetry, I gave you another point. X equals -2. If you labeled here something called the vertex, you tell me it's a maximum, or you have the order pair, I'm going to give you another point. And you got extra credit for number 11J if you just factored and solved and recognized these were your x-intercepts. So version A is very similar. The only difference is I changed the signs. So this is version A, is a quadratic. Same thing as above for A and B. Remember, you only got 1 point if you said yes, but maybe your explanation is wrong. Remember, I use an X. Identifying the following: A is +1, B is 4, C is -45. In this case, your axis of symmetry is also -2. B value is 4, A value is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and the opposite of 2 is a -2. For 11e, just take your value, put it into your x's. Here it has -2 squared, which just gives you a +4. 4 times -2 is -8. 4 minus 8 is -4. -4 minus 45 gives you a -49. Opens up because your A value is 1. It's a minimum because when it opens up, this is the lowest point there. So there's my x equals -2 axis of symmetry. You also have your y-intercept of -45. So here's my rubric, 1 point for opening up. If you just had up and you attempted the problems, I'm giving you a 2 out of 4. Got the labeled the y-intercept, so it says sketch and label. So label means actually write on the graph. You have your vertex. You don't have to write the order pair. You can, but I'm looking for the word vertex or the minimum more specifically, and axis of symmetry. 11J was the same. If you solve, you'll get this to be -9, +5. So if you missed a problem, redo it. You should be writing on the side in your explanations. I hope this was helpful for you to be successful on your next quiz on Tuesday. Good luck.